Okay, so last week, Roland Martin got in a little bit of trouble.
Okay.
He was doing a live stream, basically defending Harris
Right.
and showing the interview that she did with Dana Bash.
Okay.
And in the process, a man in the buff, his backside was flashed on the screen. Yes.
So man booty.
Man booty, yes. Which was very unprofessional.
So he's straight though, right?
He's supposed to be straight.
Okay.
He's married.
Okay.
Supposedly to a reverend.
All right.
And I remember.
You sure it wasn't a woman? I'm just messing.
So I used to support Roland.
Yeah.
Years ago. I would say probably 2 presidential terms ago.
Okay.
Back when I used to support him, watch him on TV One, and I started noticing things about him that really turned me off. But nobody's perfect, so I continue to support him.
Right.
So a few of those things is the how he ambushed Dr. Umar.
Right, I remember that.
I was really pissed off with that.
Right.
I didn't donate to Dr. Umar's school,
right.
But I felt like Roland could have handled it in a much better way. So
right.
I just remember being very upset about that. I also didn't like how he always invited Tiffany Haddish.
Right.
Like I felt like she was a guest on his show
right.
a couple of times, or he would feature whatever ghetto movie she was in. And she was just a really poor representation of Black women.
Sure, I get it.
And I was looking at Roland Martin as someone that promoted Black empowerment, but I felt like his behavior was contradictory.
Well, I mean, this sounds like it's something that's coming to light in the fact that it happened while he was, I guess, reviewing the Harris Dana Bash CNN interview.
Yes.
Says a lot in the sense that, these are the things that come to light, especially during this time that we have. So.
Yeah, and you know what? I think about, well, first of all, it's par for the course when you think about the Democratic Party.
Right.
They promote the LGBTQ community.
They do.
And I know Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she talked about this and predicted this decades ago in her book, The ISIS Papers.
Right.
And she was talking about how, in the system of white supremacy,
right.
That they have to bring the Black male and really all men of color under submission.
Right, right. And it goes further. I think she talks further about how the white supremacy goes across everything that's in the Black community. It affects sex, economics, education, where they're suppressing or trying to neutralize that through, like you said, bisexuality, homosexuality, the LGBTQ movement.
Yes.
And it really hurts the Black community because, the Black man is the protector and also the person that would reproduce these families that would, continue to make us more dominant. And that's what white supremacy is trying to do, is neutralize that through mass incarceration and also, the uplifting of the LGBT community in that sense.
Yeah, and it really negatively impacts the Black family because
it does.
Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she stated in the book that, when Black men are incarcerated, they're dependent on another man to tell them when to get up, when to go to bed, when they're going to eat their 3 meals a day.
Right.
Eventually, some of those men, I don't know what the percentage is, they begin to have sex with one another.
Right.
So that takes the threat
Right.
of a Black man procreating with a white woman. That just totally removes him out the picture.
Right. But what it also does, it also limits what that man could do, because now that he's a felon and he's been to jail or prison, there's now a weight or a record that is on his, so his ability to provide or move forward has been hindered or neutralized, because now you segment him to not working for anybody moving forward, because on our applications they ask, have you been to prison or you been to jail or have you committed a felony? And so that limits your income and providing for your family, for the Black family.
Well, she talks about that as well in the ISIS papers.
Right.
That's another strategy to alienating a Black man from his manhood.
Right.
That's what this white supremacy, this system of white supremacy is all about. We need to alienate the Black man from his manhood.
Yeah.
So if you have this passivity, this effeminization, where men have these feminine traits,
sure,
bisexuality, homosexuality.
True.
So yes, that's just another tool. She talks about the media. She talked about Flip Wilson's character, Geraldine, in the book.
Yeah.
And
we've had a lot of those moving over the years.
And how subconsciously, what is that telling little Black boys? What is that telling the Black woman? And to go back to your point where you were saying, if they fill out a job application and they have a felon,
right,
and they can't provide, well, that does something to the Black woman.
Yeah.
So there's this disrespect,
right, because now
that is building against Black men.
Yeah, because now the Black woman has to take the lead on not only economics of the family, but out there, it's by herself effectively.
Exactly.
Because the Black man's in prison, the Black man's gay or bisexual. So how does she know how to move? So that's white supremacy moving forward. So
it really is.
And it's funny that you mentioned Flip Wilson. Then I start thinking about Medea. I think about Shaniqua from Martin Lawrence. All these things that we have all over the years have thought is funny, and even Shanae from The Living Color. So all these inferences of Black men dressing up as women, but I can't think of, the only person I could think of is Robin Williams and
Mrs. Doubtfire. But what about bosom buddies?
Yeah,
they dressed as two women.
Yeah, but it was to make them get a job at a further or apartment or something like that. It wasn't just because they wanted to be that way. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's there are some examples of that, but needless to say, that's that hasn't affected the white community, because they have always had that. And I think one of the other papers in Dr. Francis's is something about white confrontation paper that she had written, and basically through that she was talking about how whites are in fear of people of melanated color or skin, specifically Black folks, because of that their dominant society. So that would make them less dominant, and that's why the homosexuality doesn't really bother them that much.
Right.
That's how I understood it. So
right. And when you think about men like Roland Martin, who are staunch supporters of Harris and of the Democratic Party, but look at what they stand for. They're really, the values that they have is really hurting the Black family unit and the Black family. It doesn't promote the Black family.
Well, they don't want to do that. I think California made that very clear with the reparations thing, but I think the precedent of the Democratic Party with immigration being the top topic and what's going on out there, and Harris not being able to talk to decide whether or not she's Indian or Black American. If she's Black, that goes to show that there's no future for the Black family unless we start taking a stance on what we're voting for and what we're fighting for, because we're not getting anything out of this voting.
But you
process.
know what? But when I look at some Black people, especially Black people who are a part of the LGBTQ community, I wonder what's really more important to them. Is it Black issues, or is it the LGBTQ?
That's a great
issues?
Question. I think that's a great question. I think that's a question to be asked to them, but from the outside looking in, it would seem to be LGBT.
It really does.
It would see those values first.
It really does.
Because what I've heard is that, and that's why we see this influx of homosexuality on TV, is that they have always saw heterosexual lifestyles on TV. So now it's only fair that we live in this equal world that they had that on TV. So, but for the Black community, that it doesn't help us at all. So
it doesn't.
But,
and like I said, Dr. Cress Welsing, she warned us about this.
She did. It was like 30 years ago.
She warned us about this. She talked about the sagging pants. I actually saw her in an interview where she talked about, Black men wearing the sagging pants, whether they realize it or not. It's an invitation for sex. Whether you want to try to act like it's thugged out or whatever, it's an invitation to sex.
Yeah, it basically I see it all the time. So I don't understand it, because I don't think I can wear my pants like that. I don't know. That's
not welcomed in our business or our home.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what Roland had flashed across his screen. There was no pants. It was a Black man in the buff.
Wow. But that's I don't know what to say about that. I guess that he'll have to answer to that at some point if he chooses to. But I think that his viewership should ask him that.
Yeah. Why was
that
something
there?
like that even on your screen? If you're always talking about you're a man, you're married, you're a Christian.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah, you need to explain that, Roland.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
I can't wait to hear the debate on Tuesday.
Oh,
it should be very,
yeah,
it should be very interesting.
I can't wait either.
Yes.